Things were ticking along nicely on the van. After putting up so many fights, it was nice to put parts back on without having to mess around, and the front end was building back up nicely. With the radiator now back on and filled with coolant, the van could be run properly and brought up to temperature, as well as compare engine notes and noises with Emma's. With the van halfway to running temperature, I started going around looking for leaks and seeing if I could spot any potential headaches before they become a headache. Oh, hi Adam. Hi Adam. The exhaust needs adjusting. Oh, that's horrible. Now that all the front end welding's been done, the doors can go back on. Easier said than done, as they're a pretty weird shape and weigh an absolute ton. Then, because the door handles have the old keys locks in them, I had to swap them out for the donors.
How the do these come on?
And later on this afternoon it was back underneath to get the other side of the chassis ready. punched myself in the nose. I was like giving the ratchet the big and it's like whoof. Ah, bastard.
This is the voice of your old engine.
You twat.
You're a dickhead.
Oh, god damn. Right. It was here, following on from my own face punch, that things chassis-wise went even further south. Tapping on the metal, you can hear what's good and what's bad. Anywhere where it's basically going to blow through has a much duller sound. And you'll hear that when I tap closer to that big dirty rust hole. Don't be another hole. I gotta get this off. There's a plate here. Yeah, there's another one. There's a plate here, and that's holding so much crap behind it. It's not really doing a lot. It looks like it's just a sort of stabilizer. But there's one down there. There's one over there. There's a load of bolts running all the way down here and around here. So I'm gonna get that one as well. So I'm gonna chop that off because that's doing more harm than good in my opinion. You go in, but I can't. The thing's spinning. Great design that. Oh. Oh. You bastard. I'm glad I got rid of that, but also really not. Yeah, my chassis is in a bad way. Had we not caught this, it's highly likely that down the road my van would have just snapped in half. But mercifully that was the last chassis hole I found. Until later anyway. And I could now get on to treating and killing all of the surface rust, ready for welding up and a nice heavy repaint. Oh, it smells like egg. The stuff I'm using is a rust converter from Genelite. There's loads of different types on the market. Adi told me to get Vactan, but I just couldn't find that. Oh, Jesus, that stinks. But essentially you just spray this on and it'll eat into the rust, first sending it a luminous blue, and then a really dark black. If you can withstand the sulphur smell long enough, you can actually watch it working. It's really weird. That was left overnight to do its thing. And the next morning, Adi was back in to sort the last few bits of sheer horror on my chassis. A lot of the areas are quite tricky to get to, and there's not exactly a lot of space under my van, so we opted to jack it up in the air as high as we could to get plenty of working room. Although that's not such an easy job when your van weighs nearly 5 ton. Oh yes, that is a beast. Oh, oh wow. She's up there. Tell you what though, new axles, big wheels, this is overland territory now. No, I'm done with the rebuilding. So, Adi's back today, and he's going to be getting on to the chassis issues that have been found. I'm panicky about them, honestly. It's bad. So bad, in fact, if I'd have knocked it back beforehand and found it, none of this would have been happening. Yeah. It's become something now where I've started it, so I've got to finish it. But yeah, had I known just how bad the rust was on this section of the chassis, you know, the really important section where the back wheels attach, yeah, should have been going on a flatbed to the land and never moving again. But here we are, in a cruel turn of fate. I've already done all the hard work, got her running again, and then found the debilitating rust. So she's been saved once again. No, AD is adamant, it's fine, it's all manageable. But you know, when you just start seeing whacking great holes in the inside of your chassis, you're like, we're just going to be cutting the sections out. AD's going to be barking measurements to me or giving me pieces of what's left of my chassis, and then I'm going to be making up the new sections and getting them slapped in, basically. There's areas where there's strengthening beams, so we've got some 2mm and some 3mm. And yeah, basically we're just going to be reconstructing sections of the chassis. It is really annoying because from there on until we added my bit on, it's fine. And from here backwards, it's like new. But it's just where that air suspension was. But it does highlight where the new stresses are. Where the new leaf springs have come in, you can already see where the van started to be like, oh, okay. I used to have all my stress here on this part of the chassis, and now it's been moved here. And where the anti-roll drop link comes, there's a hole above there. So it's just all the areas basically where the van has to move and manipulate. And on the rear leaf spring carrier, obviously it used to have a whacking great, I don't know how many ton tail lift doing this all day long. So there's gone from different stresses now. So before it gets beyond repair, AD's come to the rescue and he's going to be sorting them out. And I didn't actually realise, but if you can have a whacking great hole in your chassis, as long as it's 30 centimetres, I think, away from any suspension component or critical component, that's just an advisory on the MOT. I mean, I'm going to get them all done anyway, because I just really don't want my house going. But yeah, well, that surprised me. The chassis is like the integral part of any vehicle. So I think the one saving grace of this, the one thing that's sort of helped it along, is the fact that along the entire run of the chassis there is a plate, and that plate bolts to both the original chassis mounts and into the box, and then the box bolts into the back of the cab. So the whole thing is actually reinforced by an aluminium box, and the aluminium box cannot rust. So protection wise underneath, once all this is done, I've only literally got the two chassis legs, some cross members to paint and sort out. The rest of the whole underside of the body it can just be left, unlike say Emma's van where the body is also steel and part of the chassis, so you've got to do the whole lot. I'm quite lucky in that respect. There's not a whole lot of steel up there to catch once the rust spreads. So yeah, that's what we're on today basically, and the van's gone way up in the air just so we can get underneath and do everything just loads easier. AD obviously is doing the welding, so there's sparks going everywhere, and there's nothing worse than when you're in a tiny little area trying to get into places and there's just molten metal all over you. So we've jacked it up in the air with his almighty 25-ton truck jack. Honestly, it just chucked the van in the air. It was unreal. And the whole thing is now suspended on axle stands and big whacking great pieces of wood and all sorts. Yeah. Right then, enough talk. Time to get the tools out and start cutting the bottom of my van to bits. Another thing I like about AD is we both like a bit of rock and roll. So throughout the entire job today, we were transported back to the 60s with some right old tunes.
bro. I don't need to help you. Go on then. To bed. To bed. Steady movements. Steady movements.
I can't believe it. He just tore into it like it was nothing. It just goes to show, doesn't it, when you've got someone on hand that knows what they're doing, anything's possible. He said nothing is at the point where it's irredeemable. Even if you lop off a whacking great chunk of the chassis and replace it, you know, it's doable. It depends how much money you want to throw at it. But he said this is not there yet. He goes, it's close, it's really close, but it's not there yet. It's still catchable, and we've caught it at just the right time, just before these things start to spread. Like I said before we started, there's all the stress points. It was also things like, there was just silly big L-shaped brackets that we can only assume were just there to like locate the box down onto the van when they built it. One of those was right in the wheel arch, so it's allowed 18 years of shit just to build up behind it and then rot it out completely. So just things like that, you know, things where muck can get in and can't get back out is where it's gone bad. So I actually have part of my chassis here. There's a bit. I'm probably going to keep that one, put that somewhere. Yeah. There's this one that was actually a bit of a funky shape. This one come out of a strengthened section, so it's got 2 on it, so we built that back up with the solid stuff. Again, you've got the 2 holes there, there's 2 holes on the other one, both around where the air suspension brackets were. It's just rotted it completely out. And I don't know, oh yeah, there, little hole there. But we just thought, you know what, get rid of the lot. So there that is. There's more dotted around the place. I might even cut them up and make them into really sharp, dangerous key rings for people. Have some of my shit here. It's all welded up. I've now got to spray all the chassis up with the rust stuff again, get the last of the rust killed, brush it all back, get all the crap off it, and then we're going to go for a nice, good old liquor paint. Many coats of paint. And then I'm still debating on wax oil. I wax oiled the wheel arches, and all that's allowed is for the mud to stick to that, and then now it's on there and you can't actually brush it off. I've got to get in there with a big heated pressure washer and get all that off, which is going to take the wax oil off as well. So yeah, wasn't impressed with the wax oil in there. If you've got any suggestions on what you use for underbody protection, stick it down in the comments. Don't tell me used engine oil. I take this thing off-road a lot, so used engine oil is not an option. But yeah, if you've got any brands that you know or you recommend, let me know. Before I get too far into the priming and painting stage, I've still got a few areas to clean up that weren't really near any welding, or there's got some flaky paint, stuff like that. Stuff that really needs to come off, or it'll just start this whole process all over again. Once it's all cleaned back, the chassis is getting 2 coats of primer, a coat of stone chip, 3 or 4 coats of Rust-Oleum black, and then whatever I come to decide on protection, whether it be wax oil or something else. Oh, right. Just while I'm letting all that rust curing go off, I've now got the new reverse switch. Now I'm pretty confident it is this that's the problem, because I've took this plug off a couple of weeks back and basically just put a wire between the two when the van was in reverse and the reverse won't come on. So everything else of that circuit works, it's just the switch. So I ordered a new one, and the whole time I've been thinking, yeah, easy job, just unbolt that one bolt, pull it out, put the new one in. Having come to actually look at it now, oh, it's right up in there, right up against this, and I don't know how the hell you get that off. Something that would have been easier to do with the engine out. Oh, right, so it's facing the other way around, so it's not impossible, but it's up there. This would have also been easier to do before I put the linkages on, but this actually got sent out twice. It got sent back because the postie couldn't find the unit. There's 4 units here. We're unit 4. I mean, you know what, before I do all this, let's actually check it is going to be the fix. Good news about the fix. Bad news, I've still got to go ahead and take that off there from an impossible point. How? Oh, it's another one of them jobs because it's on a Mercedes where it's in the perfect position, placed next to other perfectly positioned things that make it perfectly impossible to get to. Okay, in a awkward turn of events, the plug is disintegrated inside the gearbox. You little. Come on. You little prick. Yes. Oh, would you look at that, the parts are different. Of course the parts are different. Why would I ever think the parts aren't different? It's a f***ing Mercedes! So I promptly gave up on that job and moved on to something else. I'd have to take that switch back to the shop and try and get the right one, but that's a story within itself. So we'll move on. The day at this point was just drawing to an end, so I was going to be spending the evening lying down and enjoying a nice chassis painting session. Round 2. Dear. Now I don't know if what I'm doing is the right thing to do. I've zinc primered the whole chassis, and then I've been lapping on this Rust-Oleum stuff. I did use some professional stuff last time, and it was professional red oxide and professional black chassis treatment stuff, and then wax oil, and it clearly didn't work because it's in a shit state. Granted, I also knew less than I even know now, and I didn't do the whole smacking back because it's scary, you know, when it's your van and you're whacking great chunks of rust off your van. It's a bit like, oh my god, what am I doing? And at the time, yeah, I didn't understand how rust and everything worked. You've really got to get that oniony sort of, you know, when it just expands and gets all layered, and I just call it oniony. You've got to get all that off. So now that's done, the chassis is looking a million times better. I left areas where the original paint wasn't coming off, and I just gave that a good sand because it's still adhered, it's still good. But the vast majority of it just chipped off. It was very much a 300,000 mile around England chassis. Yeah, that's had a chance to go off. Then in the actual arches where it gets the worst, because it's just in bad weather, obviously it's just spraying rain, muck, God knows what, and then it's drying out and sticking to everything, then more, and it just starts to layer up inside where the wheels are. I've put a load of stone chip over that. And then now I'm just going to go over and give it another big old coat of this black stuff. And then, yeah, I think I am going to wax oil it again. Certain areas would have definitely benefited from a good old jet wash first. But I just don't have that option right now. So it ain't happening. Right then. And here we go again. You know, I was kind of looking forward to this job. I was like, yeah, a couple of days of just painting. I'll have my headphones in, or now me speaker on, because Emma was nice enough to get me a Bluetooth speaker for Crimbo, and just relax. But this is not actually a relaxing job, because the entirety of it is above your head, and painting above yourself, or doing anything above yourself, where you've got to prop yourself and, you know, your arms above your head, it just hurts after a while. Go on, get in there. So yeah, it's not as relaxing as I thought it was going to be. But it is nice to see it's still getting nice and thick with, you know, just a shit ton of paint. The more I apply, the more protected it is. Should now keep it going for a good while to come. I'm only going basically to here because there's just no point touching the rest. It has got a thick layer of mud on it at the moment, which when this is out, I'll jet wash it off and then either repaint what needs painting, but honestly not a lot of it does, and then just reseal that, because that down there onwards, it's like bloody new. The contrast between the two areas is, it's mental, really is. But it just goes to show, the area where you've constantly got the wheels spinning and spraying crap everywhere is the area where it's completely shot. Was completely shot. Solid once again. Oh, it's good for the old stomach muscles here. Either that or I'm going to give myself a hernia. Oh. Just getting a workout while I'm doing it. Oh. Go on, get in there. This is now me again. Did a lot of this. Let it go off. And sort out that wheel arch. That wheel arch is just annoying me now. It's mad, isn't it? Like, this van's always been a meh, scratched it, meh, dented it, whatever. All of a sudden, I care. No, she's never going to be a prize pony, but gone to this level of effort, might as well give her a little tart up, eh? Oh shit. Still got a few more coats to go, but I think you'll agree under here has been transformed. It's gone from looking like it's been pulled from the Titanic to not new, but definitely better. With the chassis once again drying, it was back onto the many little jobs. With the wiring loom now fed back across the front end, I could now see if the wipers and washer jets will work. Oh, that went well. Then it was on to the new horn. No, that is not an acceptable horn for the look of this van. What is that? Being an eBay purchase, I knew it was going to be shit, so I bought a backup. Bit better. It'll do for now.
What about both?
Could do. I got 2. They're still shit.
I do loves me switches, and I've got some new ones to fit. On the Sprinter dash panel there is a pen holder. Yeah, they have wasted a completely useful part of the dash for a pen. Not only that, it's huge. So big in fact, it fits the height of the rocker switches I've bought perfectly. Can you see where I'm going? Yep, I'm going to muller the front of the dash and fit my switches in here. First off, I was going to fit them in the secondary DIN hole. Why has that made me laugh? DIN hole. Come on, sort your shit out. I was going to fit them in this hole, but that's where the ambulance switch panel goes, and although now it's completely useless, it's nostalgia in it, it's got to go back in, so that's going in there. Originally on the dash, my 4 switches used to go in where this little pocket went, but now I've got the Donovan's dash, I've got the original pocket thing, and more switches. That's not going to work either. So I'm going to muller the front of this dash panel and fit them where this pen holder goes, because who the hell uses pens anyway? And the beauty of this project in buying a Donovan and having 2 of everything is if I balls it up, I've got another one to play with. I start by making a few measurements and getting my centre line. As I've got an odd number of switches, I can put the first one dead centre and work my way out, which means they'll be central both sides. Then it's just down to some delicate work with a multi-tool. A much better use of that space, I think you'll agree. Pen holder, bitch please. Sticking with the interior work, I can start adding the new toys to all the many wires I added to the dash whilst it was out. Slowly but surely all my piles of parts are starting to deplete as each piece goes back into the van and making it one again. The end is in sight, and it couldn't come at a better time. As winter is coming to an end, the days are getting longer and there's a whiff of spring coming. Soon it'll be time to leave our sheltered workspace, and oh my god, can we smell the freedom. Or not. And the gearbox has got to come off again. Sounding familiar? This isn't content for me anymore. I need to get it done.